All right, Coach, I'll start you off. Assuming you've had a chance to go over some of the tape and whatnot, just kind of what happened on Saturday, what went wrong?
Well, I liked what Alex just said about the conference that he plays in. It's similar in our conference. Our conference is good top to bottom this year. Every team is good, and when you're on the road, you're going to have to play extremely well in order to win the football game. And we had opportunities to score some points and left those opportunities somehow on the ground. I mean, and it's not just one play, but there are plays that stick out in that game, and that's an unfortunate part of the game of football. We missed 2 field goals, we dropped a touchdown pass, and we fumbled on the 1-yard line. And in that situation, we're not good enough to do those kinds of things and beat a good Southern Utah team and give them some credit for what they've done with their program. I do give them. They're playing well. And the other thing is in our conference, I think UC Davis and ourselves probably got to walk around with a little bit of a tag on our chest. And if you don't live up to that tag, watch out, because teams play us like that it's a championship game every single time they play, and they are. And I don't think we played championship-level football on Saturday. If we held on to the football and we tackled a little bit better in the open field and we did blow a couple of coverages, and Tyson Poots made some great plays, give him some credit too. Or maybe it's a different game. So we didn't play our best, and they played very well, and I give them credit for winning the game.
Now that you guys are back home, I mean, do things change at all for you as far as, mentally, physically, anything like that, as far as preparing for a game on Saturday?
Well, out of the last 5 weeks, our players have spent 13 days not in their own beds. I think I don't care what anybody says, there's something to a comfort zone that you have when you sleep in your own bed. So I'm sure they're going to be excited to be home. And on Thursday night, sleep in their own beds, get up and go to class on Friday, do the things that they normally do when they are home. Have the opportunity Friday night, do the same thing, get up Saturday and prepare like we always have for a same-time home game that we play at 6 o'clock. There's not going to be a change there. So there's a lot of convenience, there's a lot of comfort to playing at home, but I think that thing I'm looking forward to most of all, and I think our players deserve, is a great home crowd, because really we've battled. We haven't won as many games as we wanted to on the road, but the last 5 weeks have been a battle, and our guys have stayed in the battle and they fought the fight, and we came home 2-3 instead of 3-2, and that's unfortunate. But I still believe we're a good football team, and hopefully we'll have a great crowd on Saturday night.
I know early in the year when you had a kicker miss 2 field goals and you kept switching as far as, is that what we're going to see this Saturday? Or
I doubt it. I talked to Jake today. I thought he hit the second one extremely good from 47 yards, and unfortunately it was wide by maybe about 6 inches. I mean, he hit it well, and there was some wind to deal with on Saturday, believe it or not. And it really wasn't a wind that was at your back. It was more kind of a crosswind. And I think it affected both kicks. So, I mean, in that case, that's different. There's conditions that you have to deal with. Obviously, we wish we would have been a little bit closer when we kicked them. But where we played, they were makeable field goals, and I feel like Jay can make them. He had a great day on Friday, and unfortunately missed it by not too much on the second one.
Cool. Talk about North Dakota. What do you know about them? What's it going to take? What will you be focusing on this week?
Well, they have 8 returning starters on defense, and they played extremely well against us last year. I think they're going to have a lot of confidence in themselves. They've had an extra week to prepare for us. They've played some tough football games themselves. They played 2 1A schools, and they had a great opportunity to beat Northern Illinois, who's in the hunt to win the MAC conference. It's going to be another good football team, and they're a rough and tough North Dakota type of a team. I think the quarterback's extremely athletic. He caused us some problems last year, and we need to be ready for that. And like I said, in this league, you got to play your best to win football games. So we're going to have our best effort. They've had an extra week against the triple option to prepare for it, so we're going to have to be more precise, and we're going to have to play better than we have been the last couple of weeks in order to defeat this team.
Something I noticed, I was watching the satellite feed at the station, was the D-line looked like it played pretty well. And just kind of talk about if there was a plus, that might be it.
Our defensive line played the best of anyone. Of all the groups on our team, came the closest to playing at a winning level. And, we grade each group for how they play as a group as well as individuals. And as a group, they played very winnable football. I think they made plays, and they had to make plays. I thought as the game wore on, they played very well against the run game. For the most part, he didn't hold on to the ball very long, and when he did, we were able to get to him a little bit. So I thought they did a credible job. I think that others around them, certain individuals played well at times, but overall we didn't play well as groups, and I think the D-line did.
Coach, your last 2 FCS games, not counting Fresno State, you guys scored 90 points, and then you were almost shut out. Was this just an unexpected performance? What I guess building off Andrew's first question, what happened with the offense out there?
Okay, this will be how many games we played this year? 7? This will be the 7th or 8th time I've had to say this. We do what the defense allows us to do. Their defense was not going to let us get behind them very easily. So therefore, the big play opportunity might not be there. We came out in the first 8 minutes of the game and did exactly what we needed to do, with one exception. We didn't finish the drive. And against teams like that, you have to get the lead and you need to finish drives. If they're going to play the game where they're going to say, okay, you can have your 4 or 5 and you can have your 4 and 5, then you got to get your 4 and 5. And I think at a certain point in time, we didn't do a very good job of finishing drives. We had the ball 10 times, and out of those 10 times, 6 times we had opportunities to score points. And we came away with 7 points. So when you get your opportunities to score points, you better have your opportunities. And the one thing as a coach and as a player, nobody counts on dropping balls. Nobody counts on fumbling on the 1-yard line. Nobody counts on missing both your field goal attempts. And I think that those things happen in the game too. And that was a game by the nature of how they played that we probably weren't going to score 50 points. And we were going to have to play their type of game and pick and choose when we could take advantage of the opportunities we had, which I thought offensively for the most part, until the game became where we had to throw it, I thought we did a pretty good job of trying to do that. But we did not finish. And that's probably the most disappointing part of the game is that we had opportunities to do what we want to do, keep the ball for long periods of time, score points, and get ahead. And if we were ahead 7-0 and had a 16-play drive and ate up 10 minutes of that first quarter, it might have been a different game. And we had the opportunity to do that and didn't take advantage of it.
In the field goal kicking, again, I mean, you kick 2 field goals, it's a one-possession game at the end of the game. How disappointing is it to know that, the ball's not going through the uprights no matter what? I mean, the team's below 50% now kicking field goals for the year. No field goal longer than 39 yards. It seems like it's putting you in a bad hole here during some occasions.
Well, I think that he has kicked the ball better as of late, so I got to give him some credit for that. And 2 of the field goals we missed were from 50 yards, plus 50 that you're talking about. And I think anytime you start getting outside of 45, then you're getting in that range. And anything that's 40 and in, I agree with you. We should make those in college football. But I think the second one that he hit from 47, he hit well. And I think it is frustrating. But even more of a point to our offense is that the ability to finish drives. And then it's not in the kicker's hand. Then let the kicker kick an extra point and see if he makes that, which is probably a little bit easier. So we can point the finger at the kicking game, you point the finger at the drop balls, but there are a lot of plays in the course of 140 plays that cause you to win or lose a football game. And unfortunately, in that game, we didn't play well enough in the 140 plays, and there's X amount of plays that might have stuck out to the everyday naked eye fan.
If you look at if you're going off the score, I mean, the Texas State game and the Southern Utah game were maybe your 2 poorest games of the year. First and last game of the road trip. Is that a coincidence, do you think?
I mean, those are the types of questions I think the coaches and everybody, everybody looks at them and you try to answer them as best you can. The reality is you have to play every game at your peak level. And we didn't play well at Texas State for whatever reason, and we didn't finish well at Southern Utah for whatever reasons. And, we'd like to know the answers to that, and probably at some day when I'm 65 or 75 years dead, maybe some psychologist will figure out what goes on in 18 to 22-year-old minds on a daily or weekly basis, and I can answer that question a little bit better. But right now, I'm not there as a Dr. Walsh. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I know you gave Tom actually your Jim Moore impression on Saturday.
Wasn't meant to be that, but I guess I'm hearing that a little bit.
It was pretty funny. But the fact of the matter is, we're here to talk about the playoffs. I mean, I know that's why you coach football. The players are here. It seems like you're at least going to have to run the table. I mean, how tall of a task is it for you guys to make the playoffs, having lost this game?
Well, based on being 4-3, I think going 4-0 would be tough. Let's put it that way. But the reality of the situation is, people, I hear everybody questioning all these coaches that talk about one game at a time. If you start getting ahead of yourself, I mean, you're not doing yourself or your players any good. I mean, it's reality. I might say it sound like a cliche, but the reality is, if we don't win this week, there are no playoffs. If we win this week, probably keeping the playoff spirit alive. Let's put it that way. And I think that this team, like I said before, has battled hard. I think we have a good football team, and I think we have an opportunity to do some things. And I'm looking forward to see how we rebound on October 23rd against a good North Dakota team.
Talk about Andre's play. I know he wasn't helped out by some of the receivers, but his maturation throughout the year, I mean, where does this kind of, hold?
Oh, he played his worst game as a starter. And, there's no question that he did, but it wasn't just him that did it. I mean, I think that, certain things that we want to do with our quarterback, whether it's Tony Smith, Doug Shumway, or Andre Broaddus, is we want them to stay on course as far as down and distance. And, we chart all those things out during the game, after the game. I mean, we ran the ball 52 times, and 24 times we hit our number. And for our offense, that's terrible. We can't do that. And a lot of the responsibility goes to how we block it, which we did not do consistently. We did at times pretty well, but consistently poor. And the other part of it is the decision-making process of the quarterback. And some of his were good, and I think sometimes in this offense, it's like throwing the football. If a quarterback gets frustrated throwing the football, guess who he throws it to? The other team. If a quarterback gets frustrated with what's happening, if he's making the right decisions and good things aren't happening, I think you get a little frustrated, and sometimes you try to force the issue a little bit, and you can't. In our offense, you got to let things come to you. He's got to let the flow of the game come to him, and we got to be satisfied with 3.5-yard gains, which we didn't do enough of. And I think that's probably maybe where a little frustration came into play. And then he's got to take care of the football. He put the ball on 2 critical downs, put the ball on the ground.
My last question, it seems like that Montana game was last season.
Well, in reality,
yeah.
based on your comment, it was, because the new season is starting
Okay.
this Saturday.
It was a long, long time ago. Just looking back on the road trip, what did you find out about your team? I mean, where is this? How is this team different than when we last saw you here down the street at Spanos Stadium?
Well, we're healthier, believe it or not. That's hopefully a good thing. And that could the one thing about the health situation is, the other day, and they played pretty good, but we had the opportunity to play Hal Kelly and Art Munoz, and who have started a lot of games here, and they both played pretty well. Art played very enthusiastically, and they did some things to our center position, which the center position had a tough job, and it was kind of a mushy thing in there, and not Hal's fault in any way, shape, or form. But I think that, the effectiveness and the timing and all those things, you're kind of going back to day one with your starting 5. And I talked about the progress that the guys had made that had the opportunity to play. Probably are in some type of a rhythm with those guys, too. And it's always a tough question to answer. Do you play your best guys? Which we think we did Saturday. I mean, we think Art Munoz has got All-American potential as an offensive tackle, and we think that Hal Kelly has the opportunity to be an all-conference type of a center in this conference. So we played our best players, but they hadn't played in 3 or 4 weeks. In that game of playing against game speed, sometimes it's difficult, and everybody's timing is a little bit different. So we're healthier, one, would be the answer, and now they've played, so they should even play better, I think. Number 2, I think that up until this week, we had done a better job on some of the things that we weren't as good at earlier, which one was blocking the perimeter. I think we've done a better job of that. 3, we've gotten DJ into the offensive part of the game, which is a positive. On the defensive side of the ball, I think our defensive line, knock on wood, is starting to live up to the expectations that we had for it when we started the year. And we hope that we can get to where we play on defense where everybody's playing at the top end level as you get to week number 8. We have some ways to go at certain positions still, but I think I'm very pleased with where we are in other areas.
Hey Tim, for Saturday, the things you talked about that happened, the drop balls and the bad exchange or the fumble by Andre at the 3-yard line. Are those the kind of aberrations for the most part? I mean, you don't deal with that on a week-to-week basis. Is this game kind of a flush just based on those things happening because you don't have to coach to that every week, or is it something you have to psychologically or somehow address your team to say, these things happen, we got to do this, that, and the other thing, or do you just say, it happened, the heck with it, it's done?
No, I think in our offense, you can't ever flush the fact that he didn't take care of the football because we are a ball possession team. And they said, especially playing against a team like we played against at Southern Utah, we needed to possess the football. And whether it's just keep the ball moving and keep it out of their offensive hands, or when you got down there and have opportunities to catch it. So we have to address it, and we got to make sure that we clean it up because we can't put the ball on the ground, that's for darn sure, and be effective with the offense that we run. So we'll talk about it, but the reality of the situation is I think that we need to look at the last 5 weeks especially and say that we went through a tough time, and for the most part, I think our guys handled a lot of adversity and a lot of difficult situations pretty well. And unfortunately, if we would have been 3-2, we'd be jumping up and down right now saying we'd be pretty happy. 2-3, we're saying, okay, we put a little bit of a roadblock up in front of ourselves, and we got to make sure that we knock that thing down and go forward this week.
And then the forever mental part of a game for this week. You'd mentioned earlier that they're home, they're comfortable, they're going to be back in their own bed, and back to a routine. But it's been 6 weeks since you've had that routine. Do you have to coach against getting comfortable and back into the soft niceness of being home?
I think that would have been a little bit more of a problem. I would think that if we had been 3-2 or 4-1 on this road trip, coming home would have been, oh man, now we're ready, let's just go. I think we need to be hungry to win a football game again, and I think that, and maybe have a bitter taste in our mouth by the performance that we gave on Saturday overall. And I think that hopefully that our team will have that, and I think you'll see us play with great enthusiasm, one, and number 2, a true sense of urgency that we have to win.